Alright, time for another DoNotGod.com video presentation. Yeah. Alright, volume 4. Okay, so I did it in just 4. You would have lost a lot of money if you bet on me not being able to do it. But anyway, yes. So, this documentary thing. And he just released a trailer that sort of made me feel better about not doing it, in the sense that he's just selling it as a comedy, And, the subject is just not the subject. The subject is just, it's just, silly people saying silly things and some kind of crap like that. And it's all lighthearted jokery. And, you can't get deeper as a subject than talking about how much torture should we actually waste. Yes, how much torture should we waste? Like, we're gonna waste, let's see. Yeah, fuck. So, fuck that. I mean, you don't have to be morbid, but it's really not a joke. And in the context of idiocracy, okay, so this in a sense is a defense of the idiocracy that's working so well, all the little fabulists and religious kooks and silver liningists and the rest of these assholes that have made this soiled mess called civilization. The very fact, again, that democracies can't in any way elevate anything good to positions of power, and the corruption is everywhere. It's like it's so densely corrupt. It's like every single one of these people is a lying, conniving, pile of shit. So it's all quite discouraging. I mean, I don't know if I'm really so I looked up Mr. Rogers because of the, the Life Sucks guy, and I couldn't understand what clips I saw of the movie. I couldn't even understand how it was watchable. It's so bad. But anyway, this context that Mr. Rogers saved public television it is so obviously bullshit. I mean, the pretense of the theater of it. So a guy who actually was the father of public television, in the sense the guy who got the financing, the politician, projected himself as this guy saying, oh, it's a waste of money and all you people are blah, blah, blah. And it was really just about religion. And it was really just about the fact that, there wasn't enough morality being, projected on public TV. It was too liberal kind of a thing. And that's all it was really about. So it was all the way back to like Reagan and Nixon and all these, what Republicans did was this traditional value shit. And that's all this was. And it was just theater, to present this idea that, oh, it's, as long as we have, our I mean, Mr. Rogers was actually an ordained preacher thing. I mean, he was a Presbyterian, I think. But anyway, and that was it was his ministry, to children. And I'm not saying just, I'm all for do unto others as others do unto you. There's lots of, there's a couple of kernels of decency in the Bible that aren't, obnoxiously silly. But I mean, the whole thing was fake news. It was all a theater. And that's what's controlling the world, is this stupid theater. This, we are the champions. As good as Queen was about other stuff. I mean, it just, it wasn't a mockery of it. It was it ended up being its the theme song of let's all pretend that it makes some sort of sense, to see who can jump the highest and see how many legs we can break trying to jump the highest. I mean, it's so damn stupid. And that's what runs the world, a bunch of these stupid themes and memes, getting into brains and turning them into shit. But anyway, so that was a little bit of a, oh shit. I mean, part of it for me is just it's just visceral. I mean, don't want to be making aspersions, but Mr. Rogers was you know, he was just not the definition of boy. Okay, sorry. Male, anything like that. And it was all just such wissy, pissy little, you know, goopy, goppy baby talk from my perspective. And even, like I said, even as a kid, I was like, oh, God, what the fuck is this shit? You know, I mean, it was just, you know, I didn't... You know, when you grow up in the 50s and 60s, you know, I mean, you had good reason to be less impressed with the role of women in terms of, you know, they're all mothers and they're all, you know, fuck, you know, what the hell? Is that what it's going to grow into? That I don't want one. I mean, who needs that shit? I just saying, it was all. So anyway. Yeah, to me it was traumatic. You know, it didn't ease one's mind in finding some sort of unity and connection to the world. It just solidified my disconnection. So anyway, leave us play the video. Everything is just so fucked up.
I was on my way home, having spent 2 weeks in the company of antinatalists. And for all the nuances in those I'd spoken to, there was still one more side to all of this I hadn't explored.
The actual facts, you know, like quinzillions of organisms brutally dying every, 15 days. You know, I mean, the enormity of the density of the carnage taking place every day. Every day, everything that looks nice and healthy because it made a bunch of other stuff dissolve in its stomach. So, you know, it's, you know, dinosaur wars. It's a bug planet. And maybe that should be a little bit of the context, is it's a bug planet. And as the smartest bugs, we should kind of just grow up and smell the bug juice.
I was at Speaker's Corner in Hyde Park.
So I don't think he went back to the same place and did the same. So all of this is a little bit of liberal bullshit.
I was there to film with Danny.
I mean, taking liberal liberalities with the actual truth.
Who I'd observed at the very start outside King's Cross.
There's no reason for you to reproduce. There isn't, and there's no reason for you either. What?
I wanted to talk with Danny because he represents an uncommon perspective within the antinatalist community.
Alright, so it's not really, this shouldn't be even an issue of, you know, the fact that somebody figures out when they're 45 that they made a mistake rather than finding out before they make the mistake. So there's absolutely, this is another piece of fake news that there would be some issue. I mean, I can't really imagine anybody, like in the vegan community, cursing somebody because they didn't become a vegan until they were 50. Or saying that somehow it makes you an illegitimate vegan because you didn't figure it out until you were 50 years old. And so the fact that somebody has kids and then realizes through that whole process that he never anticipated any of these responsibilities or the density of them or the complexity of them, and then didn't even think about some kind of bigger picture about his own psychology and that he hasn't even grown up yet. I mean, lots of people don't grow up, you know, they don't have all of these little moments that I can claim I had, where they become introspective and they start analyzing their functionality in the world and whether they're a good pill or a bad pill. Yeah, some people don't figure out that that's part of your job here, is to analyze your own performance. They don't figure that out till they're 70 years old. That happens. So the fact that he has kids, to me, wasn't even something I thought about or cared, or who cares? What's that? What does that have to do with the subject? That doesn't have anything to do with the subject.
So what?
You've got kids!
So what?
You've got kids and you're saying that! How does your daughter feel about your anti-procreation
What's that got to do with anything?
Danny is one of
so that's the clear point. What does it have to do with anything? What the, you know, it's, you know, the fact that what he's, the only thing it represents, it has nothing to do with antinatalism or effelism. It just has to do with this social dynamic of people, you know, doing this kind of thing, not thinking a little bit and saying, well, what would a kid's opinion of their father's opinions on politics have to do with it? You're going to change your opinion because your kids don't agree with you? I mean, that would be ludicrous. So none of this makes any sense, his argument.
Handful of parents who discovered antinatalism after having children.
How does she know how she's going to be as a mum? She ain't got no idea. Until you're a mum, my dear, you haven't got a fucking clue. Is that your mum?
I wondered whether Danny's abrasive approach was doing more harm than good for...
Oh, yeah, like he cares about the cause, which is hilarious. Oh, I wonder if the Muslims doing their jihading are really doing the cause any good. I wonder about like all that obnoxious praying and, you know, blah, 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 yelling all that shit at everybody as if everybody has to pay attention to your fucking religion. I mean, I wonder if the people who are behind this are not obnoxious, arrogant motherfuckers who should be called out as being obnoxious, arrogant motherfuckers to think everybody else has to bow to their fucking goddamn fable. I mean, they stick a little plastic, one of them little stupid dolls with the hair thing, and we're all supposed to pray to it. Fuck these people. I mean, they should be, you know, they don't have to be kicked to the curb, but they, you know, they sure as fuck should get, somebody should be in their face saying, oh, well, you fucking go under control, you fucking lunatic. Who do you think you are? You think you have the fucking answers? You silly shit. Anyway.
His message.
Hi.
Hello. Hey, Danny. How you doing? But his gentler side emerged when I arranged to meet him one-on-one at his home.
Yeah, well, provoke him. Yeah, so, yeah, all the animals are nice and laid back until you poke them. Oh, I mean, proven facts, right? I mean, that guy who got killed by the fish, you know, he just went out and kept poking shit, and finally one of the things he poked slapped him down.
His family didn't want to take part. You are unique to the people I've spoken to so far in that you do have kids. You have 3 kids, is that right? Can I ask how old they are?
Sure, 26, 24 and 17.
So what did having children mean to you before you discovered antinatalism?
Not a fucking thing. So, you know, his answers were brutally honest, and that's really great. In the fact that he, you know, didn't give it a thought, you know, just what happens, you know.
So I'm just going to think about that for a moment.
So I can talk, but they were going to film the moment, you know, which is really, oh, come on. You don't get it that the guy should have said, okay, this isn't what he intended to be in the film, is him thinking for a moment. You know, that's kind of crass. He's trying to just say it the right way because he doesn't want to hurt his kids. He doesn't want to say the wrong thing. So, you know, he's got to think about how to phrase this idea that, yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't consider you children. I didn't. And the fact is my parents didn't consider me either. They just did this thing where everybody has a picket fence and a dog and kids, and this is what they do. So they're just imitating a silly Rockwell portrait, and, you know, that's as far as it went in terms of a philosophy.
I mean, I didn't really think about it much. It was just something that I was brought up as something that I would do, just like...
Yeah, just like your parents and the parents before them and the parents before them. You're just mimicking the procedure of you know, getting a driver's license, driving a car, going to work, doing this bullshit because that's what everybody else is doing, and lemming all the way down.
Having a job, getting married. So it's just something that I did. I did not think about what meaning it had or not.
One of the more common questions Danny gets is if he wishes he hadn't had children, but as you'd imagine, the answer isn't quite as simple as that.
I regularly count my blessings, sometimes in writing. I have a list of the things that I appreciate, and I think it's far more useful and productive to do that than to start wishing that.
But this whole thing is so anti, I can't imagine knowing what I know, and if I had a kid, I'm stuck with this context that what I'm going to allow the fact that it's my child, or that we're associated with each other, that somehow I have to care more for it than I care for any other kid. So every other kid in the world has the same exact properties of the thing that I created, and there's absolutely zero logic for me to think the one that's mine is in any way special and should get special attention. It should have to earn attention and concern and worry and all of that stuff just like everybody else. So this whole nepotistic thing is a bigotry. It's a disgusting bigotry, nepotism. And I'm not saying you can emotionally change that fact. I can't emotionally detach myself from my parents and thinking my parents were better okay, than the other morons walking the street. But I can know better. And that's a very important subject, the idea that we can know better than the way we feel. And we're smarter in how we can think than how we're going to feel. And, again, there's just no reason for me to think my kid deserves and those kids don't.
Things in my life were different in the past that I can't change. So I just don't think like that. But I think it would have been better had I never been born, and it would have been better had they never have been born. For many reasons, because if they'd never have been born, then they wouldn't have any problems. And if I'd never...
And they wouldn't be just futile problems in a sense. The problems are never going to end, and you're going to die. Death is going to be a problem. It's all going to be a problem. And that's all we're here to do, is solve any obstacle to us just laying our eggs and getting the fuck out of here, because that's nature's plan. It has no plan to satisfy you. The plan is this: to keep you motivated, to keep fighting, to keep you gasping for air.
If I'd been born, I wouldn't have any problems, and I wouldn't have caused anybody else any problems, which I have done over the years.
Do you ever worry that being so vocal about your beliefs in some ways is going to create this self-fulfilling prophecy where your kids are going to start looking for grievances or finding reasons to suffer in their own lives?
Oh, that doesn't make much sense. What the fuck does that even mean? So by being an advocate for compassion, somehow it will pervert his kids into cynical, glib motherfuckers. I don't know. I don't know what his point. This is really bizarrely. I don't even know what I would do if this question was thrown at me. I'd have to do that. Could I think for about 10 moments? Because I don't know what the fuck you said. I have to I have to deconstruct this sentence into some sort of real question.
Because they've heard you banging on about it so much.
Listen, I can't change who I am fundamentally, right? Personally, I don't want them to sit there.
Yeah, exactly. So, what is he supposed to do? Put on a clown suit and just say, I'm happy. I'm happy, any you gotta, oh yeah, I'm happy, Does that help? Did I solve all your problems by being happy? I mean, too ridiculous.
They're in terrible depression and suffering. Of course I don't, and I try and do what I can to make sure they don't do that and make their lives enjoyable and make their lives, try and reduce any...
So the real catch here is most people have kids before they have any philosophy or they have any knowledge of the world. And then they acquire it kind of after they have kids. They gain perspective. And then it's too late because they've already brainwashed the kids with ignorance and some sort of nonsensical silver lining shit. And so it just perpetuates the ignorance. And they make the same adolescent or immature mistakes because nobody has any frickin' context. And clearly they don't have the context of, much older person. So, I mean, it would be obvious that if this was reversed somehow, you know, and you laid the eggs much later in life, a lot less eggs would get laid, and you know it.
Suffering that they do experience. And
I mean, it's just a statistical fact. I mean, in places like India, huge difference. A girl has her first kid at 16, a girl has her first kid at 18. The birth rates go from 5 kids to 2. Yeah. Just 2 years difference.
Same time, I don't want them to be, you know, I don't want them to be like living in cloud cuckoo land, because that could lead to them creating more problems.
Yeah, so you got to be an advocate for, you know, understanding and recognition that we're all psychologies, and these psychologies are impulsive, and these impulses are always pretty stupid. Okay, I want the cheese, and you can see the damn trap. You know, well, it looks rusty, so maybe I can get away with grabbing that cheese. And you know, and those impulses are just toxic to, you know, any kind of productive behavior.
Problems, creating more people, creating more problems.
What do your kids think about it on the whole?
My oldest child is a daughter, she's 26, and then there's 2 boys. The boys are more into the idea, I think, but I think for her it's much harder because all her friends are, you know, getting married and having children, and, you know, she's
apparently doesn't have any direction. So that's another thing, you know. The fact is that women still, because of the role playing, are still in this, you know, they don't really have careers. You know, they have jobs, and so maybe that's part of it. They don't get the same motivation to you know, do something else, and it always does fall on them, in the sense that they've got to be the primary caregiver, or whatever, the person whose life has to be changed. I mean, lots of professional athletes, men, had kids, but they didn't have to do anything. You know what I mean? They could still do their jobs because they didn't have to spend time doing all of this kid crap, raising kid crap.
So for her, I think it's harder. We don't really talk about it very much anymore.
I mean, do you think that your daughter is going to have children at some point?
So, I mean, this is, you know, yeah, it's sad, you know, it's just sad. Okay, yeah, no, he's basically saying, look, I couldn't convince her that she shouldn't be owned by her biology, and you know, pretend that there's some real necessity that she have kids, that there's any rational reason to have them. And you know, I guess the question would be, does she really think her life is all that fucking charming, and does she think she's going to be able to especially in the context of the world we exist in? I mean, well, what path is there going to be? So this is sort of one of the tragedies, right? Is women who don't have a path end up going back to nature and resorting to the primitive, crude bug life, and you know, that ends up being a trend and a tendency that they can always fall back to this worst choice. And the worst choice just ends up perpetuating the choice having to be made again, and the worst choice again being chosen, the default, the fallback position. But that's all it is. Women having kids is just they've resorted to the fallback position.
Who knows? I mean, it's definitely not out of the realms of possibility. Yeah, she definitely, you know, she hasn't said that that's not going to be the case. She's not an antinatalist herself. Yeah.
So what would you do if your daughter brings home a baby from the hospital one day and you're a grandpa?
Put a tombstone, you know, buy a tombstone. You'll get, you know, prepare for a lot of grief and sadness. Buy a box of tissues. Because, yeah, nothing good will come of it.
I mean, I don't know how I'll feel. It's difficult to know. But you know, when I look at it now, it just really...
Yeah, well, it's like asking him, well, how are you going to feel when the trains wreck? Well, you know, there'll be some sparks and some, you know, some physics, you know, to analyze. So some of the, you know, some of the wreckage and, you know, how many heads rolled that way versus heads rolling that way. You can analyze the physics, and that could be interesting. Yeah, no, it's a train wreck. I'm not going to feel good.
Be devastated by it, really devastated about. I'd be devastated what she'd done to the child, and I'd be devastated about what it'd do to her, because, you know, I really do firmly think that it makes perfect sense to me that if you want to take care of a child, we need to take care of our own little children that are inside ourselves that haven't...
Exactly. We're too broken. There's no chance, and there's no chance these broken people are going to be able to deal with all the problems that arise, and your failure is guaranteed, pretty much. So, you know, look, people with all the money in the world have kids that commit suicide. I mean, it's just such bullshit that there's, you know, that anyone has the formula, okay? And, you know, they're going to be able to navigate raising a brain and creating a human being without giving it any fucking psychosis. Yeah, no chance.
Being taken care of properly and have been traumatized by all just by life itself, or by all sorts of horrible things that happen to people in life. So, you know, I don't think any of my children are in a position to take care of other children. They need to take care of themselves and their own journey. So if she did that, yeah, I would be really, really upset. I don't know what I would do, but my initial feeling would be I don't really want to have anything to do with it. I don't have anything to do with it.
Yeah, but there's nobody to play this game of pretending. I mean, this pretense that somehow this is a rational thing and you're going to just put on your clown face and muck it up to see if you can keep the kid from going insane. Well, fuck that. Just perpetuate the same very thing, the very fake, phony, false lives that everybody's living, and just perpetuate the engine of fake.
I had reached the end of my time immersing myself in the world of antinatalism.
So it's not much of an immerse, frankly, because he didn't barely touch on all of the complex philosophical points to be made about how we are just psychologies. We're not, and we're not even rational ideologies. And there's so much of the, you know, meme evolution is part of this game. It's not just that we biologically evolved to be capable of being educated. We have to evolve the educational material. And the educational material, the stuff that's building humans, programming them, in most of the world is absolute gibberish and nonsense. It's silly fucking fables.
It's tempting to categorize the belief as a symptom of depression.
Blah, 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 blah. Amazing.
Or trauma.
No, that's the consequence of it, okay? It's not a symptom of it, okay? The recognizing the waste and the pain and your own doom, okay? You don't do that because you're depressed. That's what makes you depressed.
And yet that also feels reductive.
Everything should be reductive. Reductive is perfectly reasonable to find the elements of the function and break it down. And the breakdown here is the fact that you, asshole, narrator person, you haven't recognized that the truth. That it's evolution. We're just fancy bugs. We can sing and dance. Is singing and dancing something the universe needs? No, it really doesn't. What the universe needs is pilots. What the universe needs is things that can drive straight. Things that don't make a mess.
On the one hand, it's a cynical belief, marked by defeatism.
So again, defeatism. Oh, recognizing that you're raping women. Oh, yeah, that's defeatism. No, it isn't. Recognizing that you're a disgusting exploitionist. Oh, that's defeatism. No. So again, this guy pretending to be some sort of, macho, stoic character. It's just such a pile of horse shit.
What antinatalism is about is trying to wake people up from what's basically propaganda we've been fed for our whole lives.
Yeah, trivia. So it's just absolute trivial babble. All of these rationalizations, these silly, insipid justifications for, just horrible, real, torturous trauma imposed for no good reason.
Life is good.
And on the other, a case of compassion and empathy for the unborn, pushed to its very...
What? Compassion for the unborn. Well, anyway, concern that you're going to rape another victim.
Limits.
I don't want to wake the dead. Having children is like waking the dead, okay? And so I can only get myself to live a better day each day, not to...
So really, it's not about us waking the dead. So again, it's not... I never had a fear that I was going to wake the dead. But I'm horrified that there's a bunch of other people, pouring vampire juice, all over the graveyard. I mean, they're all going to just make some more vampires. Make some more exploitionist pigs. More zombies, frankly. The world is just covered in zombies, okay? They're not decent things. They're not graceful things. They're not beautiful things. They're frickin' bugs.
Or somebody else to go through the same cycle of failures.
Yeah, and it's somebody else might as well be you, and that's the whole point. I mean, these people that can't figure out that this system doesn't work, that all these people living, all these people being, tortured on the altar of these fables, and then all these animals being tortured on the altar of the fables, that this might as well be you. And if they recognize the fact that, you're going to die, and then consciousness is going to re-arise. And does it really matter that it won't look like you, and maybe it won't do a lot of things, but it's still going to be the same experience. It's going to be somebody arising, and you're not going to be in the nice, big, comfortable house. You're going to be the, slave with the chain around your neck. Now, it's not that hard to figure out that the price is paid by conscious organisms. It isn't paid by us alone. I mean, it's clearly an individual experience, but the individual experience doesn't have any uniqueness, any true uniqueness. It's all snowflakes. Yes, each snowflake is an individual, but you could just say, you can understand the concept of snow, and you could understand that it doesn't matter who is being tortured. It's the torture that's bad.
And successes for absolutely no reason. Like, putting that on somebody else is just... I can't think of anything more cruel.
Yeah, so it's a real philosophy in the sense that, I don't mean to name call, but yes, you're sadistic motherfucking pieces of garbage. I mean, you make Adolf Hitler look like a nice guy. Your philosophy is insidiously disgusting because it goes so much further. Hitler was a vegetarian and loved his dogs. You could argue that he was way ahead of you, fucker.
Whilst it can be an isolating ideology with heavy costs to personal relationships, The duty to spread the word also creates a paradoxical sense of purpose for many antinatalists.
Okay, so that's the silver lining part. Oh yeah, it's understanding you live in this idiocracy, you're fighting this cause. It's you might get thrown in jail by these lunatics. It's they might firebomb your house. Who the fuck knows what crazy shit they might do. Oh yeah, it's all but there's a silver lining and you have a purpose. Oh great, I have a purpose. 60 years in the fucking trench. No, it's not a silver lining. There's no silver lining. It's just grisly misery.
They may be shouting into the wind, but in doing so have forged bonds and fostered a community online.
I guess that's the part I'm missing out on. So the community of what? Adversaries, monsters, shitheads, morons. Oh yeah, it's so, no, that doesn't work. And again, the fact that you have friendships on Earth, okay, does that really fix it all for you? It doesn't fix it for me. Sorry, it's nice, but it doesn't fix it.
In their pursuit of a world free of suffering.
Well, at least that's a nice little honest statement. Thank you.
And free of people.
Yes, free of... It goes further. Free of all of this pointless competition to lay eggs. Yeah, laying eggs is just not a great idea. And competing to do it is even dumber. Ding, 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 ding. It's all this mind control music. I gotta put woo-woo music behind me. Alright, so I think I will play the trailer just to point out how it didn't have any of this dinky music in it. It wasn't really about any kind of serious subject. It's all just some sort of, funny party and such. So leave us do that. Not there. Yeah, there it is. Alright, so it starts the same way the other one starts, but anyway, I mean the real documentary.
To the neighbors, no kids, no kids, no kids, adult kid that should have been aborted.
Antinatalism, the belief that having children is morally wrong.
Being pregnant has always horrified me.
I went to find its most passionate followers.
There's no reason for you to reproduce.
And discover its most powerful opponents.
He was quoted as saying, there are 8 billion people in the world, but it would be better if there were none. And I'm like, well, buddy, you can start with yourself.
I'm Jack Boswell. Join me as I travel from the streets of London.
Can we talk about your scrotum?
To the distant corners of America.
I didn't deserve to be in this world.
So just listen to the music, right? The music is clown music, it's... it's all a joke.
Discover how this belief affects people's lives.
Dog.
Existence is the problem, the solution is never existence.
She goes, if I ever get that bad, kill me. And she did get that bad, so we did.
Do you curse the day you were born?
God, yeah, it's just a joke. Fuck. Anyway. Hopefully people will see past that trailer and say, well, maybe it's about the subject. Anyway. Disappointing. Anyway. So, till the next time and such and so forth and whatnot. I don't think I have any... I don't think there's any further point to make, so I guess that'll be it. Yeah, I'll call it it. I'll pause and see if there's anything else to say. Wow, I thought of something really quick. I was just reading, I wish you were never born. That's not what I'm wishing. I wish I was never born, and I wish never to be born again. And the only way I can escape having to redo this is I have to stop you from existing. Just a fact. Because of the way that it works, and the fact that I can't force you to make you, that you might make me, that's the problem. And so, yeah, there's no way to stop you from existing, you know, me from existing without stopping you from existing. Because there isn't any, you're not controlling the meme engine. You're not controlling what creates a psychology. And therefore, without that control, you're going to end up making another me. And I don't want to be pulled out of the grave. I don't want to show up here anymore. I've had enough of bug life. And until you come up with some better thing than bug life, fucky Yui. Alright, anyway. So, till the next time and such, and so forth. And whatnot.